What is going on, everyone? Casey here, Virginia Game Day, checking in with another episode of the Virginia Game Day podcast. We are coming right off a big win over Boston College at home, 76-57 in front of a packed crowd, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Before I get to that, thank you guys for checking us out. As always, you can check us out on all the major podcast platforms. And if you do like us, leave us a rating, review, all that good stuff. It helps us out, and we'll be able to reach more Wahoo fans. So thank you guys for that. And so huge win. We're now winners of 6 in a row and 8 of the last 9, 8-2 in ACC play, and it was just a really good showing from the Wahoos. The 76-57 score doesn't even give it justice. It was we were up by like 27, and then towards the end of the game, let them get shrink the lead under 20. So I wanted to have that 20-point at least win. It didn't happen, but still 19 covered the spread for those gamblers out there. I threw a few shekels on it. Had the under, missed that, but covered the spread, so that's good. Boston College by no means is a major, huge program or anything, but it was a game that we needed to win and won. They fell to 4-7 in ACC play. Next up for the Hoos will be Syracuse on the road just in a couple days on Monday. Big Monday action, and then they have a couple days off, the rest of the week off, and then they'll play on the road against Virginia Tech. So we have back-to-back away games coming up. Syracuse is a little bit far, although that's where I'm from, upstate New York. My brother lives in Syracuse. But Virginia Tech's not too far away. So if you want to, I'm going to go down and watch that game. So if you want to join me in having some speckles of blue and orange in the crowd, I definitely encourage that. So what happened here against Boston College? What was the biggest thing? First of all, I knew it was over when you see Tony Bennett walking out and he's suited and booted again. As soon as you saw the suit, no one stands a chance. Boston College doesn't stand a chance. My man looked like he was ready to. He's in Minneapolis coaching national championship game, dressed to death. All the assistant coaches wearing suits. It was a good look. I don't know. I think it was like the coaches versus cancer thing or something. So maybe that had to do with it. I wasn't totally sure when I saw them all dressed to the nines, but it was good because even though they didn't technically shoot the lights out, they still were able to give it to them. Shoot the lights out from 3. I mean, they shot the lights out from 2, but you know what I mean. So to start the game, it was a little bit tough. They were giving us some business with their big center, their big white boy, Quentin Post. Big guy wearing a face mask, like one of those old, the clear Kobe masks. He was giving Ben the business to start the game. Coach put Poppy in. He was giving Poppy the real business. He hit like 2 straight drives and then 2 threes in a row on Poppy, and then it was like, oh shit, we gotta go to Caden. Once Caden came in, Caden finally, shut the faucet off, stopped the bleeding, and he still had a good game. I think he finished with 20. He finished with 24 points, but he was on pace for like 60 points until Caden came in and kind of got things going. Caden had a one possession I remember where he was guarding Post there, and they forced a shot clock violation. So it was cool. As they were going through the progression of starting with Ben, he was struggling on Quentin Post. Then you go to Poppy, he was really struggling on Quentin Post. And then you're like, is this going to be the heroic spot for Caden? A guy who hasn't been playing a lot lately, who was in the starting lineup to start the year, and then he's played 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and 3 minutes the last 3 games. Is this the spot where he's going to come in and be the hero and save the team from this monster on Boston College? It's set up that way, and listen, it happened. Caden didn't put up monster stats or anything, but he came in and played great defense, and he gave the team 15 solid minutes. So it set up like the hero's journey for Caden, like the ultimate comeback for him. and I'm sure he's happy to, finally getting in the mix a little bit more than he was. And he delivered. They needed him to be a stopper, and he did a pretty good job stopping Quentin Post. And we're just a better, more talented team than Boston College, of course, but that was their one weapon that they had and that one advantage that they did have. So it was great that Caden could kind of take the pressure off there. If you watch the game all the way through, you certainly saw the plays by Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn just continues to make these impactful plays that are like, especially when you're in the building at JPJ, just he gets the place so hyped. Everyone out of their seat, throwing up the fist pumps, throwing up the crazy hand signals, all that good stuff. He may not be a like the leading scorer, or he's not, you know, what's his averages for the year? Averaging 15 minutes, 3.2 points a game. Yeah, he's not like he impacts the game a ton without putting up crazy numbers. He always has like a good solid stat line all the way across the board, some blocks, some steals, some points, some rebounds. But he impacts with those numbers and with the momentum shifts that he gives us. When he gets a huge block or an alley-oop dunk or a putback dunk, all of which happened in this game, those are huge momentum boosts that kind of demoralize the other team, give our crowd energy, and give our team energy. He's a game wrecker. It reminds me of in football that when they have a like a JJ Watt type player or a Micah Parsons, they're called game wreckers. And that's what Ryan Dunn reminds me of. If you want to go to a basketball sense, I'm from New York, like I said, and um, my one of my favorite times was when Carmelo was on the Knicks. When Carmelo was on the Knicks, they had they had a lot. They would bring in a lot of guys, on the back ends of their careers, like Jason Kidd and Ray Felton and J.R. Smith and Marcus Camby. But one guy that they had, Kenyon Martin, who his son is now in the league. Kenyon Martin was a great player through his prime, but he's on the back half of his career when he came to New York. And he was a guy who he would be in the rotation. He would give them tons of energy with block shots, alley oops, dunks, and toughness. And Ryan Dunn's not as tough as Kenyon Martin or anything, but it's the kind of player who's not at the top of the box score always, but is one of the most impactful players on the team because of the momentum shifts in their big plays and all the little stuff that they do and the vast array of stuff that they do. Shout out to JPJ crowd for another sellout. That's three in a row. Um, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Boston College. Going in, I didn't expect it to be packed. Boston College at noon on a Saturday, I thought it would be like one of those like, oh, snooze, we're gonna roll these guys by 20 and we're not gonna show up. That's not the case. It was a great energy in there. Um, and that's three in a row. North Carolina was good energy. Virginia Tech, Steph Curry, packed house, and then Boston College, another one. When you're in the top 10, people show up, and I'm happy for that. We are starting to have a big home court advantage, and that's clutch for when we get into the latter part of the year and we have some of those Dukes come into town, and who else is coming to town? Clemson is coming to town, so great to see the fans showing up and supporting. I was sitting in section 101, and there's always this guy who's like, when he starts yelling, and like the people around us, we knew he's always there in section 101, and we have these tickets that we get sometimes, and it's always the same seats, and the people behind us were like, "Oh, here you go, he's starting up, he's starting up." We're like, "Oh shit," we were hoping he wasn't going to get going, but he's just miserable, and he doesn't cheer, but he always gets on the who's when they're doing something bad. When they do something good, he doesn't, give them props or shout out anything. But when they're doing, they miss a closeout or something, he's like all over. Luckily, when we were up by 20, he was getting more on the refs than UVA. So at that point, I was kind of supporting him. He was calling some shit fouls on Caden. Caden ended up with 4 fouls, and it was like they were trying to when the score was we were up by like 27. It was like they were trying to make it not such a blowout because they were calling everything for Boston College and nothing for UVA. I'm not a guy who complains about fouls, but I usually have a pretty good sense of the flow, and it was like so one-sided in the last 5 minutes, 6 minutes of the game. Anywho, let's go through some of the numbers here from the game. All right, I haven't even looked at these yet, so this is the first time I'm checking them out. Jaden Gardner, 24 minutes. Jaden had his comeback game here. He's been, more of a supplementary piece in the last few games. Dating back to the UNC game, he had 3 points, then 3 points in the next game. So in the 4 previous games to tonight, he was averaging about 5 points a game over his last 4. So he busted out with 18 points tonight, tied for the team high. 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. The team was perfect from the free throw line, by the way. 3 offensive boards, 3 defensive boards, 6 rebounds. He's automatic from mid range, and he wasn't even thinking. He was just letting him fly. And it was good to see. Kihei found him on a couple nice feeds there. So nice efficient performance from Jaden. 18 points in only 24 minutes, plus 14 on the plus minus. Ben was coming off a stretch there where he was one of our most valuable players. Got himself back into the starting lineup. Finally playing that small ball 5 from North Carolina until today. The 4 games prior, he was averaging over double figures. But tonight, he only played 17 minutes, only took 4 shots, wasn't a huge factor. Finished with 2 points, 3 rebounds, had a +9 on the plus minus. And this was the instance where Caden and his defense was needed. Ryan Dunn, his impact was needed. And, that's why Tony's got so many weapons this year. It's not going to be the same person every game. It's always going to be 1A, 1B, 1C. Kihei, 27 minutes for Kihei. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well. He did, I think, had the first bucket of the game, and I remember him hitting a couple two-pointers, mid-range jumpers that were big. Hit his free throws, dished out 6 assists. Was a plus 11 in the plus minus department. Reese Beekman, 30 minutes, 4-6 from the field. Didn't hit any threes. Hit all of his free throws. Finished with 11 points, 8 assists, and a steal. Reese was a plus 20 in plus minus there. Armand also played 30 minutes. Armand was, again, huge tonight. He's been having a nice stretch here. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games in a row over double figures. Ever since he had that really rough game against Miami on the road, he's been on a tear. Armand finished with 18. He's really putting together a nice season for himself, rounding out his game. Our guards are rebounding so well. And it's not even just Armand. Isaac McNeely had some great rebounds in traffic tonight. But Armand was 6 for 13 from the field, 3 of 7 from deep. He's shooting it more confidently. I think the fans are finally. It's not that same erratic Armand that we were used to last year and had at some points earlier this year. When he's lines up for a corner 3 or when he takes a 3 from the top of the key, we're confident. So with his 18 points, Armand's up to 13.1 points per game. He's leading the team When you look at his 3-point shooting, he's got the most 3-pointers made on the squad. He's got 43. He's shooting it at a really, really high clip, 41%. He's right up there with he's got 18 steals. He's got 10 blocks. Like I said, these guards are rebounding so well, not just Armand. And to give you a little glimpse, Armand's tied for the team lead in rebounds. Armand has 90 and Jaden has 90 rebounds. A lot more Jaden's are on the offensive end, but that's impressive. Armand is just like Ryan Dunn at a higher level, all the way strong across the box score. And Armand Franklin was a team high plus 30 in his plus minus. So when he was on the court, Virginia outscored Boston College by 30 points. Isaac, get to the bench here. Isaac finished with 12. He led all scores from the bench. 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3-point range. He, wasn't just doing it from the outside. He drove one time, drove left towards the baseline, got a nice bucket. Ryan Dunn found him on a fast break one time. Dunn was McNeely was a +8, plus minus. Poppy got 7 minutes. Good to see Poppy. It's when you haven't played a lot, it's good to get some run. It's good to get that game action because, like we talked about with Isaac last podcast, the more you're doing it, the more the game slows down. If you haven't played in a while and if you're forced to play, then you're not used to it. So it's good that Poppy got 7 minutes, whether it's, some of it was like meaningful minutes and some of it was back end garbage minutes, but still, there'll be a game where he's got to play 15 minutes, I'm sure, just like they needed Caden tonight. He didn't do much in terms of stats, but he did grab one rebound. Ryan Dunn, 15 minutes, scored 6 points, had 2 steals, and assist, 4 rebounds. We talked about his effect and his game wrecker effect on the team and on games. Caden, we talked about. He also played 15 minutes. He had 2 points, almost used up all his fouls, had 2 rebounds, had a nice pass. He had an assist, a steal. He was a +7. Ryan Dunn was +17, by the way. Tane Murray and Chase Coleman both got in there towards the end, and Tristan Howe as well. They didn't do much in terms of the stats, but it was good that everyone got some run. So yeah, so Virginia led by as many as 27 in the second half. The score looks better than it really was. Virginia dominated. They played with the lead for over 31 minutes and pretty much ran Boston College out of the gym in the second half. So for the season, Armand's in double figures with 13.1. Kihei's in double figures with 11.3. Jaden's in double figures with 10.5. Reese is right behind him at 9.9. And then Ben, Caden, and IMAC are all right in that 6.5 to 7.5 range. Ryan Dunn still catching up from some of those earlier games, is averaging 3 points a game. Like we mentioned, next up is 2 away games. So Virginia, it'll be good for them to get out on the road and play in tough environments. We won our last two away games at Wake Forest, at Florida State. Syracuse is no easy place to play. They love their basketball up there. And then Virginia Tech will probably be a quad 1 win, depending on what Syracuse does this weekend. It could also be a quad 1 game for Virginia as well. Speaking of the ACC, in Lenardi's last bracketology, 7 teams from the ACC were in. Virginia being the highest seed, number 3 seed. Duke and Miami were both 5 seeds. Clemson was a 7 seed. UNC and NC State were 8 seeds, and then Pitt was a 12 seed. So Pitt jumping in there, it's good for them. They've had a lot of good wins this year, including against us. Wake Forest on the bubble in Lenardi's bracket. And when I jumped over to Jerry Palm's bracket, he has the same 7 teams in the field, not quite the same seeding. Virginia's still a 3. Virginia's still highest, and the same kind of bubble. Jerry Palm has the same kind of bubble there. He's got Wake on the bubble, and he's got Pitt just getting in. So Thought you guys would want to know that. We're gonna try and get a little. It's almost baseball season. Baseball season's coming up in a few weeks, so we'll probably try and do a little preview action for that coming up here, and keep your ears open for some other exciting interviews and episodes we have coming up. Thank you guys for checking us out as always at Virginia Game Day on Instagram, Virginia Game Day Podcast on all the major platforms. If you like the podcast, leave a review, rate it, all that good stuff. We appreciate your time, and go Hoos.